Hello.
Good evening. This is Marek Drives Live, and I'm not alone tonight because I'm joined by my partner Anna, who's often behind the camera and patiently witnessing my tantrums when things go not according to plan. Now, tonight we're going to talk about what many of you seem to be interested in, and that's how to start a career in automotive journalism. There are a number of ways to do that, and we'll explore them with our guests from Germany, and that's Larissa and Fabian, who run the Autophorie YouTube channel. Fabian, Larissa, good evening.
Hi, everybody.
How are you guys?
Fine, very good. Thank you very much. How are you?
We're fine.
We're fine. Don't forget to follow Autophorie on YouTube and on Facebook and on Instagram, and you'll find all their social media links in the description below this video. Now, this is a question that I get very often, and I suppose you may too. So how do you do that you get all these cool cars?
Well, it started a couple of years ago, to be honest, many, many years ago. I think about 10 in total, 10 years ago. Actually, Fabian started.
Okay.
Okay, now I should continue.
Now
okay.
it's your turn.
Yeah, that's your cue.
It started out as a kind of a hobby beside school and studying and work. And I don't know the actual way how it happened, but at some point we managed to get an actual press car out of nowhere, actually. And from then it just went on.
Okay.
So basically we started as a blog, which means writing and taking pictures. And then afterwards, a couple of years later, we started YouTube as well.
Exactly, YouTube, because we started kind of at the same time. Sorry, let me just remove your names here from the screen. We started about the same time, I think 2012, 13. And what made you choose YouTube as a platform?
Well, there wasn't any other video platform back then. No, but honestly, why change from blog to YouTube to video, and how hard was it?
I think there's for professional stuff. There's still, I think it still exists, Vimeo. But since YouTube is connected to Google and you actually rely on people looking up the cars more than fans sometimes, sorry to say. But Google and YouTube, it works together, so it was the obvious choice.
Yeah, and for me, to be honest, I did YouTube before, but in, well, the classic beauty kind of way. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness, I didn't know that, and I want a link, like after the live, okay?
To be fair, the channel, the beauty channel, does not exist anymore, but it was quite an experience. It's not my cup of tea. I'm more into cars. I'm not that kind of person who can talk about the lipstick all day. But a couple of years ago, I really enjoyed it. And when Fabian had the idea to combine video with cars, it was kind of my thing.
Okay. Well, to be honest, I couldn't talk about lipstick all day either. But cars...
Yes, yeah. we do tend to talk about cars more than we talk about other things. Okay, you said you got a press car somewhere like in the middle of it all. How does it work in Germany? Who issues cars to journalists, and how long did it take for you to become like recognized? And were you like gradually invited to car launch events, or how did it go for you?
So from the early beginning of writing the online blog and just doing whatever feels natural to you at the moment, to getting the first official press contact, it took 2 years. So it was 2 years before we actually had a real press car. And I think it was the same time during that we started to get invited to press launches, but not on a kind of daily basis as it is now, more than like one press event, I would say every 3 months or so.
Yeah.
So it took you a while to get to about 1,400 videos, because you've got like 1,370 or something 5 videos. I checked, and that's a couple hundred more than I do, and I do it in 2 languages. So you would have to divide my videos by half. That's like around 200 episodes a year. How do you do that? I mean, looking at what you do now.
When do you find time?
Now you're at a launch event like at least once a week or something. And how do you find 3 times a week or a month?
Week.
3 times a week.
2 or 3 times a week, yeah.
Plus, you get cars to test. When do you find time?
So first of all, we only do 1 language, so I think we're having the much easier part on that topic. And some of the videos are made in the studio, like news videos. We don't do that anymore because, as you know, there are not much news going on at the moment, so it makes no sense. I think it's, at this point, very efficient time management.
Yeah.
So, for example, when we are on an event, which also doesn't happen at the time, we start editing right when we get back.
Yeah.
So, for example, when we're in Southern Europe, when we come back to Germany, we're almost done with the video, which is only 1 language. So
yeah,
much easier there.
So,
and I have to say, we're a team now for about 7 years, so it's natural for us to do it. You know, we are quite quick compared to, for example, some events we do with a cameraman. So I'm on an event with a cameraman and he's on an event at the same time, which gives us the opportunity to have 2 videos at the same time. But it's not that easy, because to explain what you do, explain what you want, explain every single shot with a different person every time takes a lot more time in total than when you are a team for 7 years. You know, we know exactly what we do and we're very quick and efficient. We don't have a script, so it's quite natural for us now.
You don't have a script, but you seem to have like your particular specialties, let's say.
Exactly.
You're talking more about design, Larissa, and I think Fabian is always there with the hood open and talking engine. Is that something that you find it's just easiest for you, or is it something that the German viewer expects, for example, that, you know, a man will always look under the bonnet?
No, to be honest, Fabian just knows a lot more of this category because it was his hobby at the beginning. I grew up with racing, which means that I'm, you know, into watching and looking at things from a different angle. So yeah, it turned out that doing design, or especially like, how's it called in English? I'm sorry, sometimes my English is not perfect. Studies, like, you know, the cars which are not actually concept cars. Yeah. For example, I was very interested in concept cars, so of course I had to do with a lot of design stuff.
Oops, sorry, I got the wrong screen there for a second. Okay, and why do you do those? Okay, I rarely see videos where you are not performing at the same time. So usually you are both in the video, but for example, me, if not for the fact that I called the channel Marek Drives, and it makes it a bit difficult to, sorry about the cat, and it makes it a bit difficult to have Anna doing Marek Drives, I would have her do videos separately.
Not the mic.
I would have her do videos separately on my channel. So why do you do them together all the time rather than, perhaps do more videos but separate?
So we have some videos actually where we switched the positions. So, for example, Larissa at the hood, and I'm talking about the design. And we also have videos where we go 100% from the female point of view. I think it's not expected, but it's, to us now for 6-7 years, it's the most natural way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, especially for the events who continue to cutting time, there's no other way to do stuff like you already know how you're going to work and it just clicks, and we can work with the time we have.
And after all, it's something. I think there are not many YouTubers who are doing a mix out of female and male opportunities and female and male. How do you call it? Sites. Do you know what I mean? So of course, a woman will always see a car in a different way than a man. I mean,
True.
We all know that. True.
Absolutely.
So I thought it would be a quite nice idea to mix them together.
We also have some cars we have completely different opinions,
Yeah.
and we try to work it in the video, and kind of fighting the different opinions in the video, and at the end letting the viewer decide where they're going with it.
Okay, another question about your most popular videos, because I've looked at what's out there, and it's a mix of crossovers in general,
Because
and
they're popular as such.
yes, because crossovers are probably popular, and premium cars. Now, the current situation aside, when you can't really film or whatever you can is very limited, are there any videos that you sort of expect they would get a lot of views, but they don't, and any ideas why that happens?
Good question.
If we knew we'd be rich on YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we knew, we would be rich.
Okay, but
think
something
there's
like you
some-
expected it to, rocket because it's an Audi or it's a Skoda and everybody's going to watch them, and you post it
nobody
and
does.
nobody cares.
I think for some cars we expect very high and then nothing's happening. But it depends on so many different situations. If you're, for example, I think we have a few videos where we didn't expect anything,
Yeah.
but we were like one of 2 or 3 guys who actually seen the car, and then it's skyrocketing, and you even think about yourself, I would have done this differently and that's not looking good, but the video is going anyway. And then there you have videos where, I don't know, from a main event with 30-50 people, and there's nothing happening on each video because it's spreading all over the viewers.
Yeah.
Yeah, because everybody's posting as soon as the embargo is lifted, so it doesn't really make sense to post at the same time because it's gonna
Cannibalize each other.
Cannibalize, yeah.
So because
Yeah.
it's usually you, Autophorie TV, and he's gonna be offended because I don't remember the name of his channel.
He's not watching you anyways.
And you're looking for Thomas.
Yes, Thomas. Yes.
So,
Autogefühl.
Autogefühl.
Yes,
Yeah,
Autogefühl.
Auto
Yeah,
emotion.
That's because he doesn't do umlaut.
Okay, so it's usually the 3 of you when I see videos posted from new car events from
In Germany.
from Germany. Yeah. Okay, Larissa. Now I saw you in a video in a couple of years ago, let's say, where you were in a rally car, and in this rally car. What's fascinating about it is that, let's just skip the first part where you kind of say, well, I'm going here and there. and then you start reading pace notes to the driver, and you look very composed, and you look like you've been doing this all your life, really. Do you have any rally experience?
No, I don't. Unfortunately, I don't. I would love to do rally, to be honest. This was my first experience, I guess, as a co-pilot. I really did enjoy it, but I have to say, I was off the last 10 minutes, so it's not that easy as it looks. For those of you guys who don't know how it works, the co-pilot basically says to the pilot where to drive. Of course, the pilot knows the track, but he really relies to you on important information, like soon there will be a hard corner, or we do a little jump, something like that, so he can shift in the right gear, something like that. And the first 10 to 15 minutes, he said afterwards, I was quite good, but it's so fast, you cannot imagine. And I mean, it does not look like that in a video, but basically you get like this all the time. So you're like a milkshake, shaken up, and you try to do the notes someone did for you. And it's not easy, but it was a lot of fun. But what I'm used to is driving in the passenger seat. So I grew up with someone who's today a professional racing driver, and he took me to the Nürburgring as much as possible. So yeah, this is something I really do enjoy. It's something different from driving rally, but I really did enjoy it since I had the opportunity to do it.
So do you do any track days besides now?
Exactly. I mean, could you tell us more about this growing up with the racing driver, and how was it?
Well, at that point, I was about, I think, 13 or 14 years old, and he was not a professional. He was just enjoying cars and enjoying driving, and he was a bit older than me, and I grew up with a lot of boys who were into cars in general. So it was that kind of, which I'm not allowed to say out loud, but we had a lot of fun in the snow. Let's say like that. And
is it not allowed in Germany to have fun in the snow?
No, of course we are allowed to have fun in the snow, but it was under some different circumstances. Let's say it like that. But yeah, this is where I fell in love with cars, or with driving in general, driving fast in particular. And he was one of the guys who played Gran Turismo all the time on PlayStation. Maybe you know it.
Of course I know Gran Turismo.
Anna is more of a PlayStation person. I used to play real life racing on my smartphone for a while.
Yeah. Okay.
I had to upgrade very often.
Gran Turismo, it was very famous, and a couple of years ago they did the GT Academy together with Nissan, where good players could actually try to be a real racing driver, and he actually won that. So he
he's the guy. Wow, that's
impressive.
That's very impressive. What about you, Fabian? Do you drive on track when occasion presents itself?
I enjoy it every time when we were presented with the occasion, but I have the feeling it's not going to happen anytime soon.
Sadly, but actually we did meet on a racetrack.
Ooh.
Yeah,
okay.
we did. What was it actually?
Let's call it safety driving training, but it was basically about drifting. So
yeah, it was a drift training, something like that. Yeah.
I noticed on your website you, Fabian, have drifting as interest in your sort of bio. Unless you want to update it, it is there.
It is there.
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing that started everything. Back in 2011, 2012, I was a lot into watching Formula Drift, and I think that's where it all started. Yeah, I occasionally watch it today, but with the time difference and real work, it's not easy to catch up. But we met, was it 2 years ago? New York?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I finally met one of the players when we were at the New York Auto Show 2 years ago, and we had a little talk about his what it was at the time, Toyota Corolla with 1,000 horsepower 4-cylinder engine. That was quite nice.
You mentioned New York, and you guys do travel a lot, which seems like one of the perks of the job. But do you have similar experience like I do, that whenever we arrive somewhere, it's
we do our thing and we go to a hotel
and we just sort of fall asleep?
Yeah, because your mother is always like, oh, when you're in Barcelona, do that, see this, see that, and we never do, because at most we have 1 hour off or something like that.
Usually when we're driving like crazy from one location to another. Do you get similar experience?
Same here.
Same here, definitely. Especially for my parents, it was not easy to describe it. For example, one year we've been about 11 times to Barcelona. And my dad always said, oh, Barcelona is so beautiful. You have to see this and you have to see that. And I was like, Dad, I'm not going to have 1 hour free time. So it's not possible for me to see anything except the airport, which by the way, I know perfectly. So I know every shop at the airport, but I haven't seen Barcelona once, although I traveled there in total, I think 16 times or 17 times now. So it looks like a perfect jet set life. And it's really, don't get me wrong, it's amazing. And I love to see so much of the world and to get to know so many people like you guys, for example. But it's not that easy, and we do not have free time over there, and it's not that easy for your body either, which I had to figure out the hard way. Because sometimes we had one event, I think, where we had 16 degrees, and the next day we had to go all the way to Lapland, and there was about -10. So our body in about 48 hours had two different, climates, basically. -10 and then 26 degrees more, which is not very easy for your immune system as well. And that's why you get so tired in the evening. You work all day, you travel a lot, you have different climates, and then, it's at night, so you fall asleep like a stone. We say in Germany like a stone. I don't know whether you say it.
In Polish, it's the same. Yeah, you also sleep like a stone.
You're down and you sleep, and that's it. So basically, it's an amazing job. I love to do it. I love all the traveling, but I had to figure it out the hard way, that sometimes it's just nice to stay at home, watch a movie, and be with your family and your friends.
Oh, couldn't agree more.
How often do you get to do that?
Well, now quite a lot. Not seeing the friends, only via Skype or something like that.
Yeah, Skype and Zoom, godsend.
Yeah, but we do about 2 or 3 events a week. And there were some times where we were traveling about 20 to 25 days a month. We don't do this anymore. We try to, cut it down teeny tiny bit. And now we take the time we need with our family. Mm-hmm. So.
Okay, I find it that I had to sort of cancel some events. I mean, you guys are a bit more fortunate because you are already considered as a sort of TV crew.
Yeah.
I saw some of the events. The Mercedes A-Class event that we met on was actually classified as a TV event. And so, for example, BMW X4, I think you were like 2 or 3 days after me, but you were on a TV group rather than a blogger, normal press group that I was. So you guys probably have slightly more time to film, but at the same time, this means it takes longer. You're usually there a bit longer than other journalists. So
yeah,
you get more time with the car. You get more time to film it to make everything look perfect. Whereas on the shorter trips, we are pressed for time.
So that does make it a bit difficult. Okay, something that we probably test drive. Well, we test drive around 60, 80 cars a year.
Yeah, something like
I
that.
I suppose you guys are in the 100 or so. More?
You counted the videos. Maybe you know the number.
Okay,
several dozen cars a year, right? So do you have any favorite type of cars, or was there anything that sort of blew your mind and you would say, you know what, if I had the money, I would buy it any day?
Well, I do definitely have a favorite car, but if I would have the money, I would definitely buy it. But at the moment, I don't, sadly. It's Porsche Panamera.
Okay, interesting. What? I mean,
why that one?
Why Panamera? I mean, I'm in love with 911, but Panamera, it's a car.
I wouldn't mind a Panamera.
Of course, Porsche does a lot of great cars, and if I would have the money, I would probably own a few of them. But the Panamera for me would be the first one to buy, because it's the perfect mix out of a car which you can actually use, but you can also have fun on the track with it. So that's why I'm really into it.
And not an SUV, so no Macan and no Cayenne.
I'm not into SUVs. I'm so sorry. I know that they are quite popular, and I do know that they have, a reason why they exist, but I'm not into it that much.
Well, the reason is money.
Money and, I don't know, space. You look more like an asshole on the road. Driving an SUV, I think.
If we're talking about this subject, that's a total misunderstanding, because SUVs don't have that much space inside. They don't have to have that much space inside. There are different cars which do have more space than an SUV. But I know that a lot of people...
We're still waiting for that Porsche estate. We're still waiting for that Porsche estate. The Panamera Sport Turismo was such a disappointment.
Well, not much space for groceries.
Exactly. Fabian, your favorite car?
So we're talking dream car, or we're talking car actually buying?
Mm-hmm. But that's something different.
So I think one of the last press events this year was the 718 GTS 4.0. And I have to admit, I enjoyed every minute of it. And that's a car I would actually consider buying, even though it's expensive. But for Porsche, it's kind of a bargain for what you get.
You could say that.
Compared to other cars they sell. And I think mainly for the reason that it's the smallest car they make with the greatest engine they make and the greatest gear shift they make. And
you're talking about a manual or the PDK?
No, 6-speed manual, not the PDK.
Yeah, exactly. Porsche press cars in Poland, they all come with PDK. They're like, they don't want to give you a manual for some reason. And they make such great manuals.
Because most people can't drive manual.
They do. Indeed, they do.
Yeah. Most I think it's 90% of Porsche customers go for the PDK if offered to choose from, because on the SUVs and Panamera and even the 992 you don't have only get the PDK at the moment. But it was such a joy, and I think that kind of car will not exist any longer than, I don't know, maybe 2 years now. So that's actually the kind of thing I would get if I had the 80,000, 90,000 it took.
But there are definitely some cars which are cheaper and nice too. Yeah. For example, the Ford Fiesta ST.
Yeah, that's fun.
That's a good
fun
car
on a budget.
I love it.
Well, we haven't driven the new one.
The previous one.
The previous one was good.
Was a solid car.
A bit
Yeah.
harsh. The ride was a bit harsh, but it was a great car, the Fiesta ST. By the way, if you're talking about cars which are slowly disappearing from the market, obviously throughout your career, you probably encountered cars which you're sort of think of with fondness, oh, they don't make them like they used to, for example. Was there anything like that you would like from older stuff, let's say?
Or
was
there anything in the older cars that was replaced with something new that you are glad is gone? I don't know, like manually operated windows.
I think at the moment they're overdoing it with touchscreens. So I think just by telling you, which kind of manufacturer I'm talking about. I don't mind the occasional touchscreen in the center console, but some manufacturers are taking it too far with going all touchscreen. And we tested it out on several occasions. I don't know, adjusting your AC or seat heating during the drive on a touchscreen. If the car is not driving on high assistancy level, you're dead. So I don't know if that's the great move. But for example, I think Volvo should go back to making the boxy cars they made, because I don't know what's
the XC40.
The XC40.
I think you reviewed it a bit,
and we actually liked it.
Yeah, the XC40 was nice. I think you reviewed it like last week or something, didn't you? Was it the XC40?
XC4. No, I'm talking about the big station wagons.
Okay, like that.
The 850 or something?
850 or
where you
like
can
this boxy or 240
the half
like boxy.
IKEA department inside, and now you have these. They look nice, but they're not as big as the trunk capacity used to be.
Oh, and I do have one more thing. What's wrong with normal mirrors?
I know.
Exactly.
I know. This is like. I haven't experienced those side mirrors, the wing mirrors that are cameras. I haven't experienced that on the road, but I've experienced the virtual rear view mirror, and it's like solving a problem that nobody asked to be solved.
Okay. I mean, the rear view mirror. It's nothing compared to the mirrors outside.
That's how bad they are.
So confusing. We did actually test it for 2 manufacturers right now on the street.
As anything technical, they're good solutions and they're really bad solutions.
Yeah.
And I think the same goes for the rear view mirror. I don't know which one you drove. Was it the Toyota or
the Range Rover and Toyota, and both are crap.
Well, okay.
Really?
Yeah.
It's not
I think that the Toyota is fine, but the Range Rover is really crap.
Sorry, the which one?
The Toyota I think is fine, but the Range Rover. Did you mention that the camera is on the outside? So if it rains, you're screwed.
Yes, it is. We didn't have rain. I think
it did rain when we were in Poznan.
Maybe
with the new Evoque,
but then we didn't know it actually had this. So everybody was raving about it. Oh, it's got this virtual camera thing, brilliant.
Yeah, and we came at the dinner and we're like,
what camera?
Virtual what?
Now I've seen only as an implementation. I haven't tested it on the road. So I've seen this virtual side mirrors in Honda E. And over there,
which won't be available in Poland anyway.
Which won't be available probably. But over there, it seems like the implementation is best because you can't have anything else. And it just looks like it was designed. It's there on the dash and it looks okay-ish. I've seen it in the Audi, which you have to kind of look down like this and hope to see something. And I haven't seen what it looks like in the Lexus. I mean, I've seen pictures. Is it like the screen that's stuck on the around the A pillar?
Something in between the Audi and the Honda. So I think in the Honda they thought about it from the beginning, and in the Lexus, I think they had it in mind, but at some point they were not sure in the engineering department if they can get it.
On launch day.
On time. And then they said, okay, we do it later, and that's the way it looks. But it works much better than in the Audi.
But it's so expensive.
But we have, so it's expensive.
It's expensive.
Yeah.
I think it was about 2,000 euros. Yeah.
So it was fun.
Nobody's gonna buy it anyway.
Nobody's gonna buy it.
Okay.
I'm 100% sure that a few people will buy it, actually. It's like a gadget, you know?
Mm-hmm. Okay, and is there something in modern cars that you think that it's good that it appeared? Like maybe I think that reversing camera or 360 camera is a brilliant invention. I love it. Is there something you think that it's good that either it disappeared from old cars or appeared in new cars?
Well, I do have a very basic idea. If we're talking like that, like 360 camera, I mean, that's something which makes sense in big cars, for example, SUVs. I don't use it that much, especially if we do have a small car. I don't use it at all. I just turn it off. Even the beep, 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 I turn it off. I hate it. But I know that it makes sense for a lot of people.
You're very old school.
I am. But I have to say, because it just popped into my head, airbags. They are so amazing today. They react so fast, and you can put them nearly everywhere right now. I mean, even at the knees down there, it's amazing how many airbags and how fast they explode, actually. And then safety systems in general. Yeah.
I think for me, it's the rear cross traffic alert. Because nowadays, I think sometimes designers, engineering, and they're all separated, and they don't see all their systems combined. So to have a car,
they don't see the big picture, so to speak.
Yeah. For example, a car that looks nice but has a huge C-pillar, so you can't actually see what's happening behind you. But then you have the safety system to at least warn you or self-apply the brake if there's I don't know, for example, a kid running after its ball or something. And I think that actually saves life at low speed.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, I agree.
And I totally agree. You are, again, I wonder whether it's you being car journalists or whether it's you being German, because most of my viewers, the Polish viewers, whenever I mention active safety systems and I tell them, how they save lives and how it's good and
they
whatever.
are like,
No safety systems. I'm a good driver.
Yeah, I'm a professional. Well, not professional,
but I'm a good driver, and I
don't care for all this crazy stuff.
And you guys are like first people who actually praise safety systems in cars.
Yeah, thank you. This is why we like each other.
I wouldn't say praise. I think there are also some systems, they're named the same, but they don't work as good as the other.
That's true. That's true, and that's something I try to explain to my viewers as well.
So when we mention them, of course, we expect the best of the best, so that it actually works how it should be. And then it's really amazing. And for example, we did a couple of old-timer rallies right now, and where the cars don't have any airbags.
Or ABS for that
or
matter.
ABS, or like, how's it called in English?
Power steering.
Power steering, something like that. So it's of course, power steering is kind of a luxury thing, but for example, airbags. We did this rally once, and of course, all the old timers don't have airbags, and then one car in front of us had an accident. So at this moment, you realize how important things like airbags are actually, or working brakes, something like that.
Yeah, I would say working brakes are
Working
essential.
brakes are essential.
I
think
mean,
2 years.
Of course, I hope that every brake on a car works. But today we have like electronic brakes, which help us even more. We do have this very fast appearing airbags. We do have alerts. We do have assistance. We even have somebody who's actually talking to us when we have an accident and calls the police and the emergency for us. So this is so amazing. And I think you only appreciate it if you were in the situation where you need it.
Exactly, which I hope we won't find ourselves or any of our viewers. Now, going back to cars which don't have much but give you something else in return. A couple of years ago, I was driving a viewer friend's Mazda Rx-7, which is a very interesting car as it is with the rotary engine and everything. But what I noticed, first of all, it was fast enough. It was it had very good steering with just a tiny bit of like loose in the middle, but generally speaking, it felt tight. However, it also had great visibility because the A-pillars were like this thin. So as I was driving and thinking, I'm driving so fast and it's so nice and I can see so much. Oh God, slow down. So yes, this visibility issue that we're talking about here, sometimes we have to fix it with additional systems. But I do agree with you, Fabian, that sometimes the C-pillars are terrible. I've just reviewed a Toyota CHR, which has cross-traffic alert as it's like on highest trim only, and it should have it across the board, really, across the range.
No, the visibility in the CHR is terrible.
Good car, but
nice car, absolutely. Mm-hmm. Even the infotainment system doesn't suck too much these days because it's the new one. But the visibility, but the overall shape of the car, even when you sit in the back,
you can't see anything.
Yeah, it's so dark.
Also, something I noticed about safety systems, it's almost the same car, the Supra, which you reviewed recently. And I assume you've done Z4 in the past. Okay, so what I noticed between these two cars is that even though they seem the same, they have slightly different programming to the safety systems. So when you drive a BMW, the system
works
with you, and when you're in the Supra, it gives you a lot of leeway. But when you're approaching the edge of the lane or something, it'll react very abruptly, kind of like at the very end, which for me is not a good thing because it just startles me rather than help me on the motorway, for example. Did you have an experience like that in cars? Different cars where you kind of...
I think we had, it was also 2 years ago, we had, I don't know the actual car, but okay, I know the actual car, but I'm not going to say. We had, the emergency assist when the car brakes because something's in front of you.
Yes.
Yeah, we had a car that overused that
Now I
feature.
remember the car.
We were going on the Autobahn, I don't know, 120, 130, and for no reason, the emergency assist went on. And for everybody who doesn't know what that does, it applies the brake very hard.
And pulls your seatbelts probably.
Yeah, everything. And luckily, you can override the emergency assist by steering or by pushing the pedal. But if I didn't react, we had a big collision with the car behind us, because there was no reason to push the emergency brake. And to this day, I don't know why, because the car had some separate issues as well, but the emergency assist went on, I think, 2 or 3 times. And That never happened to me before, and that was especially first time was confusing, frightening, and also.
I mean, it was made to save us, and actually, it did put us in danger.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, but.
Was it like an early prototype, or
exactly?
or was it an early press car? Yeah, because
it was normal off the line, long time press car. So it was not the launch; it was a finished car.
Wow.
Yeah, okay. Because sometimes we get these pre-production.
They say pre-production, i.e., if it's gonna fall apart, it's a pre-production car. It's not a serious car. This is be gentle with it. So this was a normal sort of full-scale production car. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I only recently had a situation in one car where you are on a corner and a car is coming from the other direction, so the collision warning would see it and sort of signal it. It would see a car as oncoming.
A lot of cars.
Sorry?
I think that happens with a lot of cars. For example, we have these little, what are they called? The objects in the middle of the road where you have to drive around them.
Yeah,
and,
like a separation or something.
Yeah. And close to that, there are parked cars. And if you, I don't know which cars it is, but if you go 50, which you're allowed there, and steer quick, some cars they actually warn, and some cars they actually try to brake. But as I mentioned earlier, you can override the system with pushing on the pedal a little more, and then it doesn't brake. But some cars do that, and so you're not the only one who experienced warning in turns.
Okay, good. So it's not my useless driving. Okay, guys, I would like to ask you one more question at the end of it. It's a double question. And what you like most and least about being an automotive journalist?
So I would say I like the most to experience new stuff at the very beginning of it happening. Especially when we are invited to kind of tech reveal. For example, new headlights, new infotainment system, new assistance systems, where you can actually see the whole car or experience the whole the car as a whole, but you can focus on the new systems, and even talk to the people who actually made it. Because when the manufacturer is presenting the whole car, they have their own people there, but not necessarily the people who actually built the system or made the software or something like that.
It's nice to talk to an engineer sometimes who will just geek out on the solution, right?
Remember the guy from the Smart division who geeked out with you about those little technical details?
Yeah,
that was so nice to hear it.
Okay, so tech stuff. That's what you like most.
Yeah, I think to see it happening so early, because sometimes we see a new technical part almost a year before it launches, and at that point you can actually give if you have the chance to talk to an engineer, to give it some outside perspective. For example, why did you do that, and why not do it like this? And if there's a really early stage, for example, we went to the Corsa prototype drive, and they actually validated the input we gave them depending on, I think it was the gear ratio and how's it called? Suspension. Because they're linked to PSA now, but there were some parts where they could tweak a little. And
the suspension in the Corsa does feel a bit different
they,
from the Peugeot, yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. And as far as I know, I don't know if they did it exactly
that
like
was thanks to you
suggested, but they changed it a little from the prototype. And At this point, I don't know. I think you go first, and then I think about what I don't like anymore.
Of course, I do appreciate this as well. This would be the first thing I would say as well. But secondly, I really do enjoy that I'm self-employed. And then I can say, because of that, I can say whatever I want to say, you know what I mean? I know that a lot of other journalists do have to give it to their bosses. They do have to check it. Maybe they don't like your review, or they want you to say something else, something different. And I'm allowed to say whatever I want, and I really do enjoy this. And if I don't want a car, I don't need to do it. But if I really, really want it, I can rave about it and become euphoric about it. And that's what I really do love.
Okay. And if there is something that annoys you ever so slightly in your job as an automotive journalist?
Well, explaining what you do to your parents is a hard part.
So we cut down on the being away so much, so I think that's not longer an issue. I think the most difficult part, which kind of annoys me sometimes, is that the cars get very similar, and it's hard for us to work out why you should buy car A or B or C and what they're doing better. And but at the same time, they're getting similar, but they're also in a good and in a bad way. And so it gets tough on us to make out the perfect car for every consumer, which was way easier, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, where you can say, I have a family, I don't need a big car, and you can point the guy or the woman to one exact car. Mm-hmm. And now it's like, choose from these 15 cars.
Okay.
So it's good that there's no, I mean, you can today, it's not possible to say this car is crap. It's basically not possible anymore because of the technology. No car does really suck anymore. That's in a good way, in a very good way.
You clearly haven't driven the ZD3 something from China.
The smart knockoff, you mean?
Yeah, the smart knockoff. Oh, that was terrible.
You know, but in general, you know what I mean, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. But at the same time, which I miss a teeny tiny bit, is that it's not about emotion anymore. You know, when you were younger, you fell in love with a car no matter what. And now it's just, what is better for me? What I mean, of course, it's a good idea to buy a car with your mind and not your heart. But I feel like the heart in general is not that important anymore in automotive worlds.
Well, we bought a car with our hearts.
We bought a car with our hearts. We bought the MX-5.
The MX-5, we still have
Oh,
it.
that's a good choice. That's a really good choice.
No, it's really a practical car. I mean, we drove it from Warsaw to
Berlin
Czech to
whatever,
Berlin,
yeah. So
to Binz. So it's a good car for a nice trip. It's a good car for shopping. You can even bring the Christmas tree in it.
As long as I don't take my gear along for filming, because it doesn't fit anymore.
Yeah.
Sadly.
No, but the MX-5 is, really good choice.
Oh, I love it.
Okay, guys. Thank you very much for spending time with us. It was great chatting to you. I hope we can do it again one time sooner or later, although I also do hope that we will get busy soon with filming cars again.
And with any luck, we will meet again at some press conference.
Launch event.
Yeah, hopefully soon.
So thank you very much, guys. To all of you watching us tonight, do follow Autophorie on YouTube,
and
Facebook, and Instagram, and you'll find all the links below. Thanks a lot, and I shall press disconnect for the live stream to finish, and then I'll tell you goodbye off the air.
Bye.
Bye.